Okay, we'll call the meeting of the Lisle Township meeting to order. We'll start with the pledge to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Powell, can we have a roll call?
Sure. Supervisor Hewitt?
Here.
Trustee Geis?
Here.
Trustee McGovern?
Here.
Trustee Page?
Here.
Trustee Rose?
Here.
I'm here. Clerk Pelowitz, Assessor Trowbridge.
Here.
And I see Highway Commissioner Ed Young.
Hello.
Hello. And then I see in the electronic audience, Karen Pack and Bill William. Is that it? And Bill Green.
Thank you. Then we'll move on to public comment. And we had one public comment here. I attended, and I'll read it here. I attended last month's town hall meeting. Although I know almost nothing about fire codes, it appeared to me that the area used for the meeting was not safe. This area was a section of a garage used for vehicle maintenance and storage vehicles, and I assume other flammables were in the building. There was only one door for egress. The number of people in the room appeared to exceed a safe occupancy level. If a similar facility is used for future town meetings, the local fire department should be consulted to ensure a safe environment. From John Rodersman. And any other public comment?
Could you give me a copy of that, please?
Sure. Okay, then moving on to the approval of the April 12th, 2022 minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the April 12th, 2022 minutes. Second.
Any discussion? Okay, then a roll call vote.
Trustee Geis?
Yes.
Trustee, did you say yes? I'm sorry. Trustee McGovern?
Yes.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Rose?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Okay, then a update from the food pantry is next. And share that screen for the Zoom audience as well. Okay, so it was a busy month last month. There was a total number of 2,090 individuals served. That was about a 25% increase from last month, which means that times are looking hard. There's 716 households served. Normally we serve in the 500 household range. And there was 328 children under 18 years of age and younger. So it was a busy month for the food pantry. We're working with the Northern Illinois Food Bank to ensure the best practices and better inventory system. So we're definitely been working on that. Then we have an update from the general assistants. And this was the last month's caseworker cases. She has 16 general assistance cases. Total assistance granted was $12,149.73. In clothing was 50, food and sundries was 2,967. Rent was, of course, the big one at 7,837. With electric being 744, gasoline 550. There was 3 general assistance cases and 3 emergency cases. and she had 135 caseworker calls, 16 LIHEAP applications, and 26 passports. So passports and what have you not was heating up. And we're having a better system of keeping hold of understanding all of the passports in the township. We're getting towards a monthly accounting system that would, last month was the first time we were using it. And so it wasn't really as done well as we could have, just because it's the first time. But this month we're getting better numbers, but this way we can understand, okay, how many passports do we really do a month? How many LIHEAPs do we do in a month? And the totals are going to be aggregated on a monthly basis.
The gasoline line item, is that gas cards?
Yeah. So well, it's not gas cards. We have a commitment from Craig's Amico. So it's a voucher. So okay. Just like Jewel, they have vouchers. Sure. It can only go to that one.
Oh, okay. It's great.
Yeah, it's right on Route 53 yep. And Warrenville.
Yep.
Okay, great. Then update from the Youth and Family Services. We had 24 counseling cases. There was 30 support services. There was 54 clients in total, 4 job clubs, and 31 people attending. And we're going to be, we're sad to see that Sarah's leaving us, but so that's one of the things that we'll be looking for in the future is a new counselor, because Sarah has is moving on. Okay, then we'll go to reports from elected officials. And we'll start around the corner here. We'll start with Ed Young, since he's on Zoom.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Good. I really don't have I got 3 things real quick. The car care clinic is this Saturday from 8 to 12. It's semi-annual, put on by Triad. We usually get between 65 and 70 people who get their cars inspected. Also on Saturday is the post office food drive, where the post office drivers pick up food on their routes and then bring it to the Lisle Township food pantry. That usually starts, well, this first truck usually gets in, I don't know, 11:30, 12 o'clock, someplace in there, and then they're pretty busy from 2 to 4. And the last thing I have is one of my staff members has come down with COVID. Came down with it 2 days ago. He's not feeling very well, but we're watching an eye on him. And that's all I have.
And is the car care clinic it's on the Highway Commissioner website?
I don't know whether it's there or not. It's usually on the township website.
I'll look at the website and make sure that it has the flyer. The flyers out okay. At the front when you first.
I just want to share it.
Well, how did the post? I mean, how did we advertise the post office food drive thing? Did we? I mean, how does that work?
I haven't been given any.
Does that. All we do is normally the elected officials have showed up in the afternoon to help the food pantry volunteers sort and store the food.
Okay. How would we? Okay. What time is that they would normally come?
Well, if you get there between, I don't know, if you get there 1:30, 2 o'clock, and then you go to I don't know, 4:30, 5.
Okay.
There's some that started earlier than that, but it's usually pretty light.
Okay.
Great. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Highway Commissioner Young. And then we have Trustee Rose.
Nothing to report.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Rose. Trustee Geist.
I have nothing to report.
Thank you, Trustee Geist. Trustee McGovern.
Our last Tuesday tutoring with the township is Tuesday, May 17th at Lisle Park District Door 5 from 5 to 6 p.m.
Thank you, thank you, Trustee McGovern. And then Trustee Page.
The only thing I have to report is that the garden is slowly coming along. The weather has not been cooperative. It has been rototilled. We are getting some plants in there, and so keep your fingers crossed that this weather tempers and we can start growing things.
Yes, it definitely looks like summer, and spring and everything all at once. Thank you, Trustee Page. And then Assessor Trowbridge.
No, for thank you.
Thank you, Assessor Trowbridge. Clerk Polowitz.
I have a couple of questions, but are you going to be talking about the about this architectural?
Yes.
That were in our packet, but not on the agenda. So
yes.
I'm not sure if anybody even knows that it's there. Also, are you going to talk about this surprise meeting that we're having that I just found out on my desk on June 15th? And once you report it, can I ask questions then?
Sure.
Okay.
So I'm next on the reports. And so it's been a very active month. To begin with, the supervisor's office has been working on a number of grants, and I'm going to put up on and share this on the screen. One of the grants that we're working on, well, several of the grants, and we have our grant writer here with us, have to do with what happens when we're out of space. And this is the thing that, the question that we've been coming back to consistently for many years, actually. And so one of the things that we have to decide, and one of the proposals that I'm making is next month, there needs to be two things that happen. One is a master planning session, which is going to be with the board to help determine what our master plan is for the next 10 years. We can either have some of our actions back into it, or we can plan into it. And so I'm proposing that we strategically plan our way into the future. For example, we basically have two ways that we can grow our building structure. We've really outgrown this particular facility. And we previously, before our moldy building issue had been destroyed, we had about 2/3 more space. And so we have two choices in order to grow that footprint. We can either build a new building, or we can purchase an existing building. And so we're trying to figure out what is the best decision for Lisle Township and the people of Lisle Township and the services that we're looking to offer. The building an option, we went down this path with several architecture firms. When you look at the documents, I got 4 very significant bids from companies that all work with local township builders. I went to the local supervisors that have done a number of building, and I asked, for example, Randy Ramey, who works with TIPS, supervisor of Wayne Township, has a very great building. We've toured it and what have you not. He's worked with a number of these particular builders. And so there's a variety of different prices that we were being quoted. I chose this one, for example, was $17,500 from Wold. The Lisle Township, this one was from Al Ruginus, and he has a really competitive one, and it was basically going to be for $150 an hour. And then we had one from Archon. He had a very good one as well. It was going to be about 20, he said it was like 17,000 with likely some coming back not to exceed 25,000. The one I'm choosing, because this is really a big gamble, is the one that cost $1. And that's why it wasn't, the need to get this approved wasn't as needy for $1 to get the all of the designs that we need to go through the process of the grant approval process. And so it's a fabulous deal. And it'll give us the understanding that we need to do to make this decision. And so in the next month, each of the board members, because we cannot violate OMA, the board members are going to individually meet with the architecture firm. The firm will present their ideas to the board next month. So there will be a lot of community involvement. There'll be board involvement. And that's what the architecture arrangement is. So as the county, one of the grants that we had proposed was through ARPA for this Lisle Community Center, is what we're calling it. And there's a variety of different needs that it could fulfill. It could fulfill bringing back the assessor's office if need be. It could fulfill having a place where young people or senior citizens or the community in general could gather for a town hall, for example. Right now, we have exceeded our capacity in Lisle Township to have a town hall on our facilities. And so it could have more office space for a variety of different things that we could do. And the other option from a grant perspective is, and we applied for this as well, is we have been given right of first refusal for the assessor's office's property. And so that's the other option that we have to decide whether we wish to pursue that or whether we don't. There's two other tenants in the building currently, and they're paying tenants. So we couldn't immediately take over. It would have to be done in stages when those tenants vacated. But it's a once in a lifetime opportunity for that particular piece of property. There's not that many contiguous pieces of property with Ogden. And the assessor has been moving once a year for a while. So I think there's some discussion that could be made with regards to stability. But these are all choices that we have to decide. And the only way that we can actually have the ability to decide these is if we have a special town hall. That's where the June 15th special town hall comes in place. We have outgrown our capacity to have it here. So we have secured the Lisle Junior High, and it seats up to 300 if need be, safely in the auditorium. So that's where it will be. To determine, the one question is to buy. It's the wording has been updated, but to buy and sell property. And so that's where that town hall meeting comes in play. With regards to back to the grant proposals to DuPage, we also submitted a grant proposal for the ARPA for $40,000. And that's where we went through all of our past receipts for example, any of that related to COVID expenses. So for example, when we upgraded our computers, when we upgraded to a VoIP phone system, when we got our microbial cleaner, all of that was covered under this. And that's actually, there's two different types of grants that we could ask for. One was a capital grant. The second was for a non-payroll expenses grant. And that's where we applied for $40,000. We went through all of basically every receipt that we spent money on in the last year and a half to come up with that money. As well as, for example, trying to figure out how we can get funding for a truck that would be at low dock height for the food pantry. That would be a huge time saver, money saver on a lot of levels if we could have a truck at dock height. So there was two grants that we applied to on that front. And the Lisle Community Center had two other grants associated with it. So that was those were the grant issues. We're now, from a mosquito abatement perspective, where we've been working with and went to a information session with the regional groups that are doing mosquito abatement. We're now getting information and trapping counts and a bunch of data from the DuPage Forest Preserve, the City of Naperville, and the Illinois Department of Public Health to monitor and ensure the mosquitoes are being worked on. How
frequently are we assessing that? Because with all of this rain we've had, and now with this early heat.
Right, it comes in weekly. So we get a good count. And the good thing is that we're working with the people in the area that have the traps that are QVEX, the type of mosquito that has the West Nile virus focused. We were involved in the senior housing options event, which was last, just a few days ago, and we have a few pictures from there. That was the Naperville Police, and this is a triad related event. Debbie and I went to the Metropolitan Association gathering with, right now we're hearing from a legislative assistant. Also earlier in that day, listened to a discussion on how to create a foundation for townships. Very educational, very instructional. It's what the more developed townships tend to do to allow to collect money, for example, for disasters, as well as for food donations and a variety of different, it allows the township to pivot quickly when need be. We also had a very positive and successful shred day event with 2 tons, almost a ton of shredding that went and took place, but we almost filled 2 trucks, which was very, very helpful to get things cleaned out. And let's see here. So it was a busy month on that front. Any questions?
What's our website? How's it coming?
That's the other thing that we're working on. We ended up working with a professional through Squarespace. The documents page, come to find out, the Squarespace really, since we're almost done, and we've even discussed how it would be to even start over. We are really almost done, and so it's just stuck on this one, downloading in a time-friendly way to make sure that all the documents from the past get updated to the documents page. That's the sticking point that we're trying to design. I expect that to be done in the next 2 weeks. And it's being, the professionals at Squarespace are the ones that we're handing it off to, because it is not intuitive or simple. So that's a top priority for this next month.
I think that's great news. Can we, at least until we know that that's up and actively running, can we just make sure that we're putting these important updates on the site that currently exists? That is still editable, correct?
Yes, to some extent. There's certain things that we can't do anymore. It's and so that's the one sticking point.
So, like, for example, because of this, how would anyone know about the car care clinic to know to participate? Or, I mean, how would they know? How would the community know that they could come and participate in that?
Well, there's Facebook, of course. There's, I know the car care clinic, I got a note in my mailbox because the highway commissioner added it to their newsletter for the unincorporated areas. So that was nice. I know Karen is in June, we're really planning to try to get the newsletter up and going for the supervisor's office. So that's up, and she has a template that she's already worked out. We just now have to input the information into.
So we will have a June newsletter.
We like to, I think we're aiming for, I have Karen on June or July, soft start.
I think we're talking July, 3rd quarter.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, any other questions?
Is there anything that we could be doing to be supportive with that?
I think, reaching out offline, and we can have that discussion with Karen and with myself. We're going through, I can show you where our template is. Mm-hmm. And it's basically going through each of the different divisions and letting people know what's new, how to contact them. And it's an updated version of everything. So I can show you the template.
Okay. So newsletter plan is for July. Mm-hmm. Website is planned for June.
Yes, ma'am.
What's not able to be on the existing website right now?
Right now, the part of the issue is that the technology for the existing website is going out of date. So that's the other main reason why things have to be switched over. The plugins don't work like they used to. So that's why it really, essentially, it's at a certain point, some technologies break, and we're at the breaking point for our former website's technology. So that's why we're trying to move it over as fast as we possibly can.
I get that. I still don't have a passcode to be able to get into the existing website. And then am I able to put on the minutes?
Okay, so Jerry Marquardt, I sent, you were copied on that
Right,
note that I
and
sent.
Yeah, I told you that. I hadn't gotten it yet.
Okay, so I can go back to the tech person, and he's again, you have his email too. You know, we can both work
Okay.
with making sure that
But I
that
can
happens.
put minutes on there because
Again,
just-
you have his email, and you can
I'll
get,
find that out then.
I don't create those passwords. It's Jerry that does.
Okay, my question is, because these are all, you know, surprises here, is so the Studio GC is what you're looking to use as an architect because it's $1, correct?
No, I'm saying I interviewed them all. They had a lot of different plans. I felt like his plans were going to be the most efficient, and that his ideas were extreme. He has a whole lot of experience with working with municipalities. If you look at his website, he's extremely adept and able to do what needs doing with getting this plan together.
And why is he only off doing it for $1 when everybody else's is
Because he believes,
thousands of dollars?
he understands that basically we're taking a huge leap of faith.
Okay.
And we don't know, he understands that we're not entirely sure whether we're going to do this. He really helped he sounds like a really great guy, frankly. He believes in the mission that we're doing. When we're going through, he gave me a contact with another food bank that could help us network in a way that I think is extremely helpful. So I think that he believes in what we're trying to do. And he understands that, frankly, that we're not sure whether we're going to do this. And that's, the community needs to, you know, have input. We're at the very beginning stages of this. So it's a leap, basically any part of getting an architectural bid would be a gamble. And it's a easier gamble for $1. He also was later into the bidding process. So he understood that I met with the other 3 firms prior to him.
Are we trying to get grant money for him? Is that what we're trying to do? Or not?
Well, for the $1, I think we can pay that out of petty cash.
I get that, but I see donation of services for grant services. So I'm just asking, are we anticipating trying to get him that $10,000 or $9,999?
No, it cost
Okay.
$1. And
So
the grants require is a whole lot of schematics, a whole lot of budgeting, and a whole lot of details at the next phases.
And that's what he will be paying.
And that's
the
what
grant.
that's what he's going to be doing, is helping us get in order to get the grant money, there's an application that has to be followed. And this is what we're following.
So what did you tell him we are looking for? Like what, you know, because I'm reading different things through this. I don't have an idea of what you're looking to do. And I understand you just said it's either build a building or purchase a building. So when you're building a building, how big of a building are you looking to build?
Well, we're actually starting with what we had. And what we had, Assessor Trowbridge was there. We again went through all the architectural development drawings from the past building, and was looking, we're essentially looking at what we had and how we can not rebuild it, but do something very similar on that exact same piece of land.
So how many square feet was that?
2.
Okay. I don't know. That's okay. 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 So, and then what is this building for?
Again, it's a Lisle Community Center. And again, it's to have a place for if the assessor's office needs to, go back to another place, if in 9 years, if we don't buy that, then the assessor's office would need to move again. Or he could rent, or he could keep it for another 5 years. But that's the options is lease it or buy it or move.
Okay,
And so the assessor's office will need to, that decision will have to be made. Right now, in this office, we need to hire and we don't have any other space, among other things. So if we don't have any space for a town hall, we don't have any space for really any events, especially in the day and age of COVID, you can't really, it's not as easy to rent space like it used to get a library room like it used to. We've never been able to do any of the things that like Wayne Township does or Addison Township does, and they're half of our population with much less funds than we have. And so again, you can see the ARPA grant application if you wish.
So basically, we're just in the beginning stages and you're planning.
Very beginning
You're
stages.
thinking about what we can do. We're not making any decisions on this. We're just seeing if we go forward, that if we're going to get the
Right.
ARPA funds.
Right.
Okay.
And without developing these ideas, we won't have any options. So we need to develop the idea to decide the option.
so we're looking for ARPA funds to pay for this building?
Yes,
And how much would that be?
they could be
Yeah.
potentially giving us $750,000. We're looking for funds from a variety of different places, like the Edwards Hospital. They had a grant that we applied for. We applied for one from Bill Foster's office. We applied, which is from the housing HUD. We've applied for a variety of different grants.
And we're just telling them that we just want a community center.
We're giving a whole lot of details, and yes, we're telling them that we want a community center that would do exactly
Like
what
a
I was saying.
multi-purpose.
A multi-purpose community center.
Because this is gonna cost a lot more than $750.
Of course it
To
will.
build something.
Yes,
In
it
fact,
will.
I think one of them said $4 million. And-
3.
Okay, I saw something.
Yeah, I saw what you saw too.
Yeah, so, and it said that it would house 50 people.
That's in an ideal world, we would have the ability to have 50 people in a room setting. So if we had, for example, a town hall or a meeting that was actually well attended, then we would need to have, like, for example, the village of Lisle has the ability to have more than 50 people in their setting. Most of the areas, like for example, Addison has their gym has the ability to have more than 50 people. So it's very common to have the ability to have a minimum of 50 people.
How many people were at the town hall meeting?
Almost
There were way more
100.
than 50.
Yeah.
Right,
more
so
than
then how
50.
would fit, I'm just thinking forward, so.
And so, for example, we've thoroughly outgrown our ability to have a town hall. So in the future,
Right.
all town halls, I am asking to be at either Benedictine University or at one of the Lisle high schools or junior highs, or because they
Why
have
can't
the
we use the
facilities.
town, why can't we use the Lisle Village Hall?
That's actually too small. That we would have filled that one up too, because they have really nice seats.
Yeah.
But you can't fit a lot of people in there.
Oh,
But the high school after looking at the facilities, we really need to have the capacity for at least 200 people. And that would really require one of the schools buildings.
The Park District as well does have that, their community center room that's quite large too. That would house, a lot of people. Okay, so at this point, you're spending $1 on this to kind of get plans, and will those it's hard to believe that he will draw up plans and such for $1. Do you know what I mean? Because that's usually a lot more money than that. The problem is that this does not seem to be as transparent as maybe you think it is because you're working on it or you're discussing it with everyone. I don't know anything about this. Maybe these guys know, but I don't know anything about this. And when I'm approached by other people asking me about, oh, you're building a building, I don't even have a place for them to turn to besides call you. And I just think even the agenda didn't have it, one second, the agenda didn't even have it written on it. It was in the packet. So I would propose that you're a little bit more transparent with the agenda, knowing that we're going to discuss, at least have a preliminary discussion about this, because this is a big thing. When the school district decided to build a building, it took 10 years for them to get
totally understand, and that's why we're totally understand.
The library district wanted to do any kind of renovation. These are big deals.
Totally understand, and that's why we're starting the whole discussion now, so that when we have a once in a lifetime opportunity, do you know how many times we get the federal government comes around and gives the townships perhaps $500,000 to 750? All the township supervisors have said that this has never happened. So we have to move fast sometimes when we get opportunities like this. And so that's why we're going to have the master plan, and we're going to have a variety of different professional business developers and township developers advise us on what is the best options going forward. Because we've very much handicapped ourselves by having a moldy building that we had to dispose of some time ago. We've been short on the space for some time. So from a long-term perspective, we need to have those decisions and make those plans as fast as we can, because we have federal money that is either going to be able to be taken or not advantage of or not.
How long is the federal money supposed to be there for? Like, when will we know if we get that?
Well, there's a variety of different timetables for all of these grants, and there's 3 different federal money pools that we're trying for. And if we don't create these plans, we won't have this option. Yeah, so but in the time frame, the county gave us until May 16th. This is when the letters of intent are being reviewed, and the next 3 months we'll be going down the grant process with every other township.
But so are we going to have meetings so that people can see what we're doing? And
yes,
okay.
And when you look at what the other townships are doing, they've been doing similar things. So,
but in terms of transparency, wouldn't you at least put a line item on the agenda that was going to be discussed tonight so the public would know?
Correct. That's what I meant. Instead of just having it in the packet, and I know you're going to talk about it, it should have been a line item on the agenda, so people know that there's going to be this discussion. It just would have been a little bit more transparent to the community.
Every month we've been discussing where the grant process is, and we have a person actually hired as a grant writer. And so every month we've been discussing what the issues are, what we've been going for with this grant. This is the 4th month that we've been discussing this. And so I'll now, make sure that every single month we have an update on the grant writing process. If you'd all like to have that update constant, I will be sure to add that.
But when you think that you're going to purchase or lease buildings and have serious discussions about that, I think the public has a right to know. This is the first time. You mind if I finish? This is the first time that it's been discussed at the trustee level that you want to purchase a building and expand services. I think the public has a right to know that.
May I add something as the grant writer?
Yes, Karen.
Okay, this is, with grant writing, this is a dream, and you match your dream to available funding, and you do the best you can to describe various versions of your dream to the funder. So absolutely, I could prepare a table for everyone that says, this is who we talked to, this is what we talked to them about, what the dream was, and this is how much money we requested. But until it comes through, all it is a dream. It's fine to discuss the dreams, but I would hate to see this group get tied up in minutia before we even know if we have money. So I don't think there was any intention to hide this. It was more like, here's a dream, we're going for this dream. Maybe they'll give us money, maybe they'll give us no money. So really, there's not a whole lot to discuss until they say yes, and for how much they say yes for.
But you're hiring an architect.
Correct. And I'm not saying that you're hiding it. I'm saying that it would be more transparent if it was labeled out on the agenda. And we are getting into the minutia because the trustees will be spending one by one, speaking to an architect, and we're going to have a proposal next month as well. So we're getting into it.
We are getting into and again, this has been brought up every month about where we are with this. So is there any other questions?
Yes, there is. I also found on my desk when I came in that we're having this meeting on June 15th that obviously was planned. Did you guys know about this too? Or am I not knowing anything? I just feel like I don't know anything that's going on in the township, and I feel like we should be, but there is now, it's been petitioned and signed by Diane. So obviously Diane knew and scheduled a meeting on June 15th, classes to be held at the junior high. It's a special meeting. There's 19 people who signed a petition for a special board meeting. The Lisle junior high has been paid a $250 deposit and $872 to rent their facilities. Again, I'm just seeing this tonight. So you're getting the raw version of this, but we're having a special meeting to vote on what was not acceptable at the town hall meeting that was said to be something for convenience for Diane to be able to get rid of property. But on here, it's saying what the other one did say as well, that it's to purchase a special township meeting to vote to adopt resolution number 2, which is not attached, but to delegate authority to the township board to purchase, sell, and lease property. So at this point, it doesn't sound like it's a convenience. It sounds like you are determined to buy, sell, or lease something.
Okay, again, we have had this right of first refusal that I've been discussing several times, which is something that if we don't get this passed, then we don't have that right. Meaning that we don't have the ability to buy, to exercise the right to buy if we don't choose to exercise this right.
Diane, I don't think that's the question, because I'm trying to listen, I'm trying to, hear those. What I think what they're saying is, when did that right of refusal, when was that known? That there was this opportunity for a first right of refusal? Like, we didn't know about that part.
I have been talking about that part for some time with.
Has he stated or written to you that he's going to sell the building? The right of first refusal is in the lease, and it stays with the lease for the next 10 years. And he has to come forward and say, I have an offer to buy, and I am going to sell this building unless you wish to buy it.
Thank you, Highway Commissioner. And yes, he has done that. He has done that. He has said that to to Assessor Trowbridge and had that discussion.
Right.
He has had that discussion with me. That's why.
Right.
Yes, it has been in writing.
Okay. I mean, he said he sold the building, so either exercise your right of first refusal or I'm selling the building in writing.
Yes.
I think we knew that was always a possibility. I don't think we knew that it happened. That's why I'm asking. I
am telling you all, and if you're not clear about this, if you weren't clear about this earlier, he came to us and he has been, that's why you all had the information about the assessor's office coming to the deeds, or sorry, the leases of the assessor's office. There's 3 different leases. The assessor has one that's up in 9 years. But again, in the lease, it requires the landlord to come to us if he is wishing to sell it. He is wishing to sell it. He has several buyers that he believes would buy it. And so he is coming to us first, and we have to either decide yes or no. And if we do not decide, if we do not have this, we cannot decide yes or no.
And in what time frame is he expecting a response?
he wants this, we've been working on a weekly basis with this, but he said that he would give us until June 15th to decide whether we can even do this. And he said that he would work with us. This is not going to be decided on June 15th. This is, again, we're not rushing this. We're deciding if we can do this. If we don't have this, we can't buy or sell anything until April 15th or until April, the next town hall of next year. There's only one day a year
keep in
you're
mind
allowed to
that
do
the
this.
lease does run even if he sells it,
Yes.
your lease still stays intact.
Yes.
So we're kind of doing two things at the same time. We're looking to purchase that that property and maybe build another one.
No, we're not. We're not
intent?
looking to do two things at one time. We're looking for having the choice to do one of these things. Right now, we don't have the choice to do them.
Got it. You've obviously spoken of money with them. Seriously, we have heard nothing of this. Maybe someone has, but I haven't, and it doesn't sound like some people here have. So unless we haven't asked you the question tonight, we wouldn't have known about this at all. So, and I'm trying to pay attention. So I'm looking at all my emails and such. So the question is, you've been talking money to them. Have you done what am I trying to say? Not the contract, because you can't enter into a contract, but you can enter into intent to purchase. And have you gone around with them as far as money, as far as what you would purchase the property for?
We don't have that written out. We don't have the ability to decide that yet. So because we can't decide some of those details, we're just still at the very, very initial stages.
Okay, so
if he understands that if we don't pass this, there's nothing else that we can do.
But we should have an idea of the dollar amount, right?
We have some idea of the dollar amount.
Correct. And is it a dollar amount that we can afford? Or maybe you speak with the trustees, or maybe have an executive session to see if that's even possible.
It is a dollar amount that we can afford.
But do they know that, and will they be okay with this? So before you even enter into a contract, you have an intent to purchase, and that's not worth the paper it's written on, actually. However, it starts with the details of what's happening. And without getting into the dollar amount, because you don't want to put that out there, you could do a lot of that before we even have a meeting. You could talk to them about what this would cost us, get into negotiations before we have this meeting.
And so
before the June 15th meeting.
Yes, and that's the goal, is to get some of these details figured out. And the fact of the matter is that we need to have a master planning session in order to decide where we wish to go. We don't want to just go where the best deal is. We need to go where the best place is for the township for the next 15, 20 years. It needs to be a long-term planning situation. And in order to do that, we need to have the ability to make these decisions. And we can't do that without passing this.
Let me ask something real quick. As I understand it, the right of first refusal, is he supposed to come forward and say, I'm going to sell the building, here's the offer I have, and I'm going to accept this offer unless you want it. So if he hasn't come forward with an offer with an amount of money, then he's not asking us for the right of first refusal. He's got to have a buyer in hand with a dollar amount.
He has a buyer in hand with a dollar amount.
And so did he propose that money to you, that amount to you? So you should take it to the board and decide.
We're still at the initial phases. And so that's where we need to have and this is where I'm asking for in June, we're planning to have a master planning session where we can discuss and strategize. And all of the details will be held then.
The planning session is at the township meeting on the 15th?
No, it's going to be prior to then.
So we'll have more details hammered out for that meeting so that it's understood by everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm not sure why it can't be done prior to that, an executive board or a special meeting.
I'm agreeing it's going to be done prior to June 15th.
Then we don't need that meeting.
No,
because if this meeting is specifically held for the purchase of this building.
No, it's not specifically held for
what
the purchase.
Else is it going to be for?
Okay, so in Naperville Township, in Addison Township, in Downers Grove Township, they all passed on their at their town hall, they all passed the piece that we did not pass. And that's what we're trying to do. It's a very general piece of resolution that, again, Naperville Township, Downers Grove Township, and Addison Township all did in order to give their townships the ability to make the decisions with real estate that they need to do when they need to do it.
Naperville Township did not pass it this year.
I'm to Eddie and he said that they did.
Well, look at the agenda and look at the minutes.
Okay.
How does it read? Do we have
It's here. It's
just so that
the petition says that I, Diane Hewitt, Lisle Township Supervisor, and we, the undersigned registered voters of Lisle Township in the County of DuPage, State of Illinois, who have fixed our signatures in our own proper person to the petition below, do hereby petition pursuant to 60 IL 135/5 that a special township meeting is necessary for the interest of Lisle Township and call for such special township meeting to be held on Wednesday, June 15th, 2022 at Lisle Junior High School, 5207 Century Avenue, Lisle, from 7 to 8 p.m. to consider and vote to adopt resolution number 2, which is not here, a resolution to delegate authority to the township board to purchase, sell, and lease property. And so 19 people have signed it, signed by Diane. And again, this is the first we're hearing that this is even happening.
do you have the the missing attachment so you can just share
The
that?
resolution.
It's the same one. I can send it to everybody, but it's the same. I can put it up here.
That's, I know we don't have to talk about it. But so, I mean, this is public knowledge that in our capital fund, we have $500,000 capital improvements. So
this is the resolution that was on the April town hall meeting that has been updated for this.
Can I ask whether any of the trustees knew about the special meeting before tonight?
I heard it was in the works. I didn't have the date or anything.
I was told that I needed to get everything that frankly, the announcing was not my job of the town hall. I'm supposed to be doing all the preparations and we're making sure that the legal documents are all proper. The first thing in the Township Officials of Illinois book is that we get the document signed, which is what the clerk has. And so I'm going through the process of what the special town hall process.
But the other trustees didn't respond. Did they know about it?
I knew it was.
We knew it was coming because we didn't pass in April.
Right.
But we had no idea of what was coming when.
So two of the four trustees knew something was coming? I'm just asking for transparency purposes.
It had been talked about, it had been discussed.
It was tabled.
Yeah, it was tabled.
So I also assume, I mean, we've been going down this process of the grants and what have you not, and frankly, we wouldn't have these choices if we don't pass this resolution, and we don't have the choice.
I don't think that's the problem. I think what we're saying is just to find out tonight that this is the date we have to be available. Is just, that's all. I think that's, I mean, I think it's just like, hey, as soon as you had that date, we probably needed to know so that we could make sure that we cleared our, and it's summer, right?
And quite honestly,
and I was waiting for the documentation to come through from the.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand, you know. Like,
right,
so,
and we had to work with a variety of different groups too. We worked with 3 different organizations to figure out when their dates were, and we were trying to get this all done before the as soon as we possibly could. And for example, the person that was arranging everything was on vacation for a whole week. So I didn't know when we were going to get this approved. Is part of this is you have to get reserving a room for that much. Many people, it wasn't super like simple of like reserving a room and then you just get it. So it took some time to figure out when, but so that's
I'm just wondering if it's something I was supposed to do. Because if it's an annual, it's a,
So when you go through, we have the attorney Ed Mullen here. I was working with him as well to make sure that we have, yes, to make sure that we were doing everything properly. Do you have any thoughts, Ed?
Well, the only thought I have is that, you know, under the statute, any 15 residents of the township can, you know, put together this petition, you know, without the supervisor or without any of the township trustees. I mean, the whole idea of this is that it's, you know, it's something that the community voters put together and propose to the township board. So, you know, I understand if you all feel like that you're, you know, you should have been notified of this in more detail, but the reality is that the statute gives the electors of the township the right to do this in the way that they did it.
I appreciate that wholeheartedly and the letter of that. But when the petition starts with I, Diane Hewitt, it doesn't sound very, you know, very transparent of it's the town coming to us to ask us for this. That's number one. Right or wrong, I'm just trying to make us a little bit more transparent, because I don't know if you were on the call prior, but even in our packet, it was discussed, or we were given information about the architects, but when it came to the agenda, we didn't have any line item that discusses anything about a possible building, nor does any of the trustees know anything about the right of first refusal, or that it's in play at this point.
Right, and I understand that, but what this resolution does is it gives you the ability to, as a board, make the decision on that. So this does not make any decisions with respect to whether you're going to purchase or sell any property. What this does is it gives the board the opportunity in the next year to make that decision. So there's absolutely no decision that the electors can make, or that the supervisor can make, without the township board voting. And what this resolution does is it gives you the ability to make that vote. And so if you don't pass this resolution, then you don't have that ability. And if they come to you with a right of first refusal or some other offer, it doesn't have to be a right of first refusal. It can be whatever occurs. But if there is some movement by the owner of the building to either offer the right of first refusal or to make some other offer, then you either are hamstrung and not have the ability to decide as a board whether or not to purchase that property, or you'd have to, you know, enter into another special township meeting in order to get specific approval for this, which might mean that the opportunity passes. So all this resolution is doing is giving to the board, to all of you, a power that you don't have right now to be able to make a decision, as opposed to taking any power away from you. So, you know, if you all decide at some point that you don't want to exercise this power, that's perfectly your right. But all this resolution does is give you options, and regardless of that, the township electors have the right to call a special township meeting, independent of the board.
I'm confused about a couple of things. One, I thought we had a notification from the landlord that he has an offer and that we have to exercise our right of first refusal, or he's going to sell the building. Is that not true? That's not the way you phrased it.
I'm not sure about that. I think Diane said that, but that doesn't mean that's going to stay the position of the seller. If he has an offer now, and a right of first refusal, then you know, Diane's going to have to bring that to the board to vote on it. If not, then there might be some other things to vote on. But all this does is leave your options open.
I don't think that that's the question. I don't think the intent of it is the question. I'm just trying to piece this together. I think it's just that we want to make sure we're being, very clear and itemizing things that are happening so that we're not surprised. I think that's all it is.
Right, and I think that's I don't have any comment on that, because my only role here is is to say what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do legally. And so if you have concerns about the notice, I think you raise those concerns and we work through those and figure out how to deal with that going forward. But that doesn't mean that the petition is invalid. It means that you all need to work on communication.
Is there a statutory requirement where the trustees have to be notified within a certain number of days?
No, it's just that the petition needs to be presented to the clerk within, I think it's 15 to 40 days prior to the date of the special township meeting. So there's nothing in the statute that requires the trustees to be notified by the petitioners. It's only the clerk of the township that's required to receive the petition and receive notification.
As a point of clarification, there was no question about the validity of the process. I think it was just that we were just a little surprised, and so I think and then also, and we would love to have you at our meetings, more often, because I think that you're bringing a perspective and having the opportunity to run legal by you is really helpful. So thank you for being here tonight.
I would be more than happy to come out to Lisle and spend the evening with you. I unfortunately was diagnosed with COVID yesterday and have 101-degree fever tonight, but that's why you don't have me on video because I don't look very good.
Yeah. No, so I think what's happening here is everybody is making a great point, but we're just not meeting in the middle. And I think the middle is just want the information to be a little more clear. I know you believe that it was clear. I know in some ways it was not clear to me. I'm just going to explain that to you. So I just think that we need to be a little more clear because we have to speak to our community. And if someone questions us, like Debbie was saying, we want to be well versed. That's all. So.
Right. And like I said, Marilyn she was out of town last week and trying to get the venue before getting the agenda. Yeah, I needed to get everything in such an order. So I was doing the best that I could to get it before tonight so that we could have this discussion,
I will take Karen up on her offer of doing a timeline and like just a summary of what's going on for each grant and what we're doing with it, what purpose it's gonna serve. I think that will be very clear. And then also too, I think whatever the special meeting is, are we gonna have all the data that we're gonna need to really present to the community as to the whys and what I mean. So there's enough things for them to be able to make a good decision.
Exactly. And so we're making sure that we get all of the legal questions asked and answered, whether it's related to the leases, to having leases. Frankly, we weren't even sure that we could do this. So there's been a lot of legal hoops that we had to jump through to figure out what we can and cannot do, either to even give us a choice. So we're still understanding this.
And a quorum is not required for a town hall meeting?
Yes, there is. I believe
I know I'm not going to be present. I'm worried.
It's not a quorum of board members. It's actually just a quorum of a certain number on the, as I recall, it was less than 20.
15.
15, thank you.
Community members.
15 community members have to be there.
Okay.
So regarding the right of first refusal that is on the table at this point, and are you involved in that?
I have not seen anything specific about that that offer yet. No.
So I would expect that you would be talking very quickly to the trustees about what the offer is And I think you very much would need an attorney involved, at least to interpret it for us.
Exactly. And so, but we need the attorneys involved first, and we're going through that, the realtor, a real estate attorney that has experience with that type of, with municipal buying and selling of property. So
Okay.
we're going through that process, and we're getting those communications done.
And that comes out of our attorney budget? Is that how we pay him, or do they have to approve that?
Yes.
Yes, what?
Yes, it's coming out of our attorney budget
Okay.
when we do get that.
I mean, don't you guys want to know what this is? That's what I would think, that you would want to know what this is. And if it's a great deal, then
we haven't gotten
to.
I don't think we got to that
we-
part yet.
But you
exactly.
have the offer.
We have we do not have the offer. We're getting to a understanding of what the offer is, because we were not sure in the first part whether we could have a lease. That's been worked out.
This is unclear to me, because if there's a right of first refusal, that means he's coming to you saying he already has an offer.
Yes.
So it's known what the offer is. So now he's coming to you to say, I have this offer for X amount. This is what it is. And there it is. Like, you know what it is. Do you know? That's why I'm having a hard time with.
Because the issue is that some of the properties are coming and going at different times, and we were not sure what was going to be needed to be the timing of it all. He does, again, this is a legal question that we're still working out, and so it's premature to have that discussion right now.
Do you mean the leases on the building are at different points?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean.
Okay, but you know how much the building would be.
I, again, think that that it's premature to have this discussion, and that's why we're wanting to have a strategy discussion, and we're wanting to have more details with the attorneys. So it's a little too premature to have this discussion, even in executive meeting. So, any other questions?
I think I want to wait till we hear some more information.
That sounds great. Okay, does anybody want to make a move to go to audit of expenditures?
I would like to make a motion to move to the audit of expenditures.
And a second. Thank you, Trustee McCup, Trustee Page. And then
Roll call.
Oh, roll call.
Trustee Geis,
Yes.
Trustee McGovern,
Yes.
Trustee Page,
Yes.
Trustee Rose,
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt.
yes. And then
I'll make a motion to approve the audit of expenditures.
Second.
thank you, Trustee Rose and Trustee McGovern. Any discussion? And a roll call?
Trustee Geis,
Yes.
Trustee McGovern,
Yes.
Trustee Page,
Yes.
Trustee Rose,
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt.
Yes. And then would anybody like to make a movement to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Page and Trustee McGovern. Any discussion? Adjourned. We'll see you all next month or before.